Hello and welcome to my calculator. I'll just compile and run so you can see. So first off, I'll start by explaining all the options you have, the calculations, and just show off how it looks. The layout is pretty easy to understand and pretty simple. First off, just type in your option and press enter. It shows up, okay, you can add a number. So let's say 200. And next up, let's subtract a number. And this is just the same for all the basic calculations. Let's just subtract 100. And as you can see, it works. You can multiply it by a number. Let's multiply it by 6. You can divide it by a number. Let's do it by 3. And so on. Next up is S for square root. So you type in S, enter. And for this one you have to type in the number, and then it will show the result, so you can calculate it from the result. So square root of 81 is 9. And next up is power, to the power of, and say we want 9 again, and then it's have to type in another number, which is what's it's lifted with. So let's see, let's say 2, 81. And the next option we have is delete remainder. This will delete all the decimal numbers you have. So let's try and add something, just some random numbers. And we want the 4, 5, 8 to disappear, so we just type in D, enter, and it deletes it. Next up is modulus, and this is the same as to the power of. You have to type in two numbers. So first off, let's type 11 and 3, and you got 2 remaining. Cosine, K for cosine, and this will calculate it in degrees. I'll show that later. Right, do that. And L for sine. Let's take the same number. And T for tangent. And you can always clear the calculations by pressing C for clear. So that's about it. You can also just add it directly by pressing plus, for example 300, instead of typing 2 times. And that's about it for the actual calculations, and now I will move on and show some of the code. First off, we have all the includes. So the first one includes input and output, and the rest is basically for calculations like math. I think CMath and math.h is the same. And here we define pi. We'll use that for sine, cosine, and tangent. We have the standard using namespace std and int main. This is just for data types, and this is our main part of the code. This is pretty standard. We have the char key. We'll use that later. It's just defining what key is as a data type char. We have long double. Also defined our screen value, number 1 and number 2. The screen value is our results, which we just saw here. For example, 600, that's our screen value. We'll just start up by 0.0, and the same for our inputs, which is number 1 and number 2. And we have our loop. The entire calculator is running as a loop, and as long as the key Q is not pressed, it will still run, meaning that you can always press Q and end the calculator, like that. This is our menu, which you just saw. This is all the options you have for like clear screen, clear display, add, subtract, multiply, divide, so on. Just a small interface. And this section is where the screen value is placed. So we have a width of it. I can just show you. You have the first part here. We place it down, number of lines. And we have the width of 20, screen value is here, and this is here. So that's pretty straightforward. This just so it looks nice. And we have the input key, which was defined as a char up here, and a 0. And we have a boolean. I'll come back to that later. We use that for the delete remainder part of the code. So first off, it's it's made in the switch with cases all the way down. And the first one, that's pretty straightforward. It's just a clear display, clear screen. It simply just sets the screen value to 0.0. So like in a normal calculator, if you have some kind of number and you want to clear that, you made a mistake, or want to start all over, clear it and it's 0. Then you have the addition. It says add when you press plus. The text add will come out as the cout, and then cn is your number put in, and it just adds whatever number you type into the screen value. And the break stops it from just keep on running, and that will be the same for all of these. And the next stuff up is subtract. That's basically the same as add, it's just with subtract instead, and another case you have to enter. So that's the same. And multiply is the same as well. You'll just state the you can multiply that. The cout appears, and you enter a number. I want to multiply that by 6, and it multiplies your screen value, which is 1, by 6, and it's 6. So. And the same with if you divide it. Yeah, that's the same. It's pretty straightforward. The square root, that's a bit differently than the others. Well, not really. We have the square. It takes the square root of whatever number I input. So if my input is, that's this one, is 81, it will just set the screen value to square root of 81, which is 9. Yeah. You could have done it another way by making it screen value instead of number 1, so you can always take the square root of whatever result you have if you want to do that. And to the power of, you use both numbers, so let's try that. fp to the power of, and we input the first number, let's just say 6, and the cout appears here, and the next number is just a 3, and the screen value will be the power of 6 lifted with 3. That's 216. Yeah, so far so good. It's pretty simple so far. Now the fun stuff begins. This is the delete remainder part of the code. If I press D, as I showed you before, just try it like that. Now if I press D, it will make my values or my, for example, my screen value, it will turn into an integer, which means that integers can only be whole numbers, so it can't be with decimals. That's why it simply just deletes the 0.45, and it's inside the boolean I showed you before. And if the boolean is true, we can run this, and when I press D, it will set my screen value to my new screen value, which is an integer of my screen value. So yeah, I hope that it explained it. And now for the modulus, I use the 3 integers which were defined up here. Again, new number 1, new number 2, new screen value. And I can just try it if I press M. The cout modulus appears, and it makes those into integers, just like before. And if I enter a value, let's just say 86 modulus of 7. I got 2 remaining. Yep. And the calculation for that is here. Screen value will appear as new number 1 modulus new number 2. So basically pretty simple as well, and a break as well, like everywhere. Next case is K for cosine. It should have been C, but I already used that for clear display. Let's try K. We have cosine, and if I enter a number, which is my input, it will calculate the screen value will be cosine of number 1 multiplied by pi divided by 180, and this is to get it in degrees instead of radians. So let's try. Yeah, and it's the same with sine and tangent. I just try that. L, we have sine, and I input a number, say 90, and it's 1. And tangent, that's almost the same as well. Just take some random number. Again, tangent of that number and will display in the screen value. Yeah, and that's basically it. That's my code. Hope you liked it. Yep, bye.